How to tell a story about kids. Kids that can't be seen. Child cutouts. Cut out by kids. And colored in. But they represent a black and white issue.
Appalled.
I'm shocked. I'm truly shocked.
I mean, people will be outraged when they hear this.
All were. The CBS 2 investigators uncovered a now former circuit court clerk, Dorothy Brown, breakdown.
Excuse me?
The IDs of child sex assault victims on full public view at the Daly Center.
She was 7, he was 66.
Names, addresses, more, potentially putting them at further risk.
Looks like this guy was on parole.
When our initial story ran in late October, Clerk Brown promised she'd fix it. Recently, we checked her promise. We found more names. Copies of cases simply handed to us.
Thank you so much. You all appreciate it. Take care.
It was not fixed. Despite the fact there's a long-standing law to protect, redact victims' identifiers.
Hi, I'm just looking to print out documents from the computers.
So how did a CBS 2 investigator last year
Thank you.
print out 21 names, 17 cases, ages 5 and up? Indignant cops, State's Attorney Kim Fox, Chief Judge Timothy Evans all said it was on Clerk Brown to uphold the statute. In the waning days of her tenure, she promised to, but only after the state's attorney called her efforts inadequate and threatened to sue her. Just a couple weeks ago, the same CBS 2 investigator went back to test the system again.
Hello, how are you?
The records from our previous story, the 21 names from 17 cases from just 1 year, they were concealed. So we checked older cases and any filed since our last story. There they were. There were more.
I just needed to print from Terminal 6, please.
Our producer's undercover video seems the same.
Thank you so much.
It's not.
Appreciate it. Take care. You too.
In these new cases, one was 4. The perpetrator, a cousin.
I was outraged after all these months. This is still a problem.
Shar Revetz spent her life advocating for the likes of those in these very documents.
It's another abuse to them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There's now a new clerk in town, Iris Martinez.
We will develop the best office of the clerk of the circuit court.
In a statement, Miss Martinez said she was appalled when she saw our first story and was told in December then Clerk Brown's team restricted access to all cases. So why were we still able to see so many so recently? According to Martinez, Brown's system didn't code all the right cases and, in Martinez's words, failed and fell woefully short, and no one knew.
Thank you so much.
Until we checked.
She was 7.
Experts told us not to reach out to the victims because, like in the case of the 4-year-old we found, he's still a child. One child multiplied.
I don't mind people saying she's a nut. Because when I look at it objectively, that's all I see is craziness. I purposely remained a mystery because of the crazy factor. This makes it even crazy. You might want to reconsider everything. It was like something out of a movie.
Earlier this week, Marilyn Hartman earned the title of stowaway for sneaking onto a Southwest Airlines plane.
Marilyn Hartman
is busted again.
She was arrested.
Serial stowaway
Has slipped through security.
again. A serial stowaway.
Serial stowaway.
The infamous serial stowaway case.
So Bradford, I don't care at all if someone calls me crazy. I mean, the story is crazy.
This call is recorded and subject to monitoring. Call accepted.
Hello, is this Fred Edwards?
Yeah, hi Marilyn, how are you?
I really appreciate you reaching out to me. That was a very nice letter and everything, and I like your reporting as well. I've given this a lot of thought, and I'm willing to do this.
Can I record this call?
You definitely can record it. That's fine.
And we were off, like Marilyn Hartman herself, America's serial stowaway. We were pen pals since late 2019, her last attempt to flee for free.
O'Hare Emergency, this is Michelle.
There's been a Maryland sighting over here.
Can you keep an eye on her for me?
From the Cook County Jail, she wrote she wanted to apologize. My mea culpa to law enforcement, including the TSA. It was not my intention to make their jobs more difficult.
How many times do you think you've done that?
At least 30 times.
The CBS 2 investigators, through a series of sources, public records requests, Miss Hartman's recollections, and more, we've compiled a forensic accounting of her free rides. Jacksonville, Seattle, Phoenix, Philly, Atlanta, Minneapolis, San Fran, London. A real catch-me-if-you-can, she says, began in 2002.
The first time I was able to get through, I flew to Copenhagen. The second time, I flew into Paris.
It wasn't until some 12 years later she popped on the radar of law enforcement. August 2014, Miss Hartman Sands' ticket flew from San Jose to L.A. A judge then warned her, don't do it again. 7 months later.
She's known as the serial stowaway all across the country.
Ms. Hartman has been determined by forensic psychologists to be incompetent to proceed.
I know they keep emphasizing the mental illness, but no, I'm pretty good.
Good at getting away with it. Per law enforcement documents, as early as 2015, Hartman was on the trespass list, known as a serial stowaway, considered a high security risk, and a habitual stowaway.
The thing I've got to tell you, I have never been able to board a plane by myself. I was always let through.
What do you mean let through?
I mean, I was able to go through the security line without a boarding pass.
A year prior to her arrest, her last success, January 2018, reports obtained by the CBS 2 investigators say Miss Hartman evaded the security process and document ticket check and took a $3,500 flight to London, courtesy British Airways. She'd become omnipresent at TSA checkpoints, her picture at O'Hare here.
I got by them. This is the thing that is so crazy. By following someone, they would be carrying like a blue bag, and the next thing I know, I get into the TSA line, and TSA lets me through, and they think I'm with the guy with the blue bag.
For her to be able to repeat that over and over, that is just absolutely mind-boggling.
It was remarkably unsophisticated.
It's the unsophisticated types of plans that are most often the most successful.
Professor Jeff Price, once assistant head of security at Denver International, has written this, the textbook on aviation security. One would presume there would be some dossier at TSA headquarters of the Marilyn Hartman playbook. We can't find anything.
They literally should have a curriculum designed around how she's able to get through security. And that should be taught to every transportation security officer out there.
Marilyn Hartman looks like a grandmother. It makes you wonder, would the same courtesy, and by courtesy I mean baffling blunder, would the same courtesy be extended to a young man with olive skin or a mother wearing a hijab? Or do we need to think differently?
We definitely need to think differently. We can't constantly be preparing for the last attack. The next attack will not look like that.
And the next attacker...
And the next attacker, exactly.
When I took the plane ride, I wasn't happy. I wasn't, I'm going here or there. I was actually in a depressed state of mind.
Diagnosed bipolar, it wasn't a manic episode that set off the flight trigger. It was the opposite. Example, 2015. Back-to-back days, one Midway, one O'Hare. Same clothes, same carry-on. So depressed, she'd admit, her desperation got her caught. Twice.
You literally were feeling emotionally a fight or flight, and you literally took a flight.
That is literally what happened. I'm bipolar, and this is something I rejected for years.
A behavior she says was born when she was.
There was so much much violence and mental illness in the household.
Her life alone. Ill. Not much of note. Until she took off.
TSA's got a possible Maryland Hartman sighting.
In 2019, Hartman, already on probation, was caught trying to do it again.
They got Hartman in custody. That Maryland, that crazy stowaway. You're kidding me.
I have a real tough judge on this case. Judge Champ is pissed at me for the situation in which I found myself.
I will not be giving her a third probation, the judge said at a hearing this month. Hartman's already been in custody for 500-plus days.
Call accepted.
Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, Brad. Is it a busy day for you?
Miss Hartman had a warmth about her, was contemplative, writing of the inequities Jim Crow-like in jail, now on a steady diet of counseling and daily meds.
So you've had a hell of a life.
It has been.
Would you consider yourself fascinating?
Yes, I would under circumstances, and I downplay it.
Yeah.
Brad, I don't, yeah.
And never did an interview until I was confident that I wouldn't take an illegal flight again. A promise. And a wing and a prayer.
I want the opportunity to apologize for people who I've hurt.
We've been chasing the city for months.
It had nothing to do with the billing.
Getting hosed.
For 2 full years.
What's wrong with this picture?
CBS 2 investigators.
And that's not all.
Have systematically exposed a system systemically failing.
Really getting hosed.
In his home, he can't.
Shame on you.
Chicago's getting hosed. Every bill we investigate is wrong, yet no interest, no inquiry from City Hall. We now know why. In a mountain of internal city emails obtained by a public records request, it came down to 4 words. I just called Gil. We'll explain in a moment. In our probe, no one's been more hosed than...
I'm Rodney C. Andrews.
He's jostled Chicago's concrete jungle for 30 years. Before cabbie, combat.
1st Infantry Division.
From the bush to the bureaucracy.
What was the harder fight, Vietnam or this fight with the city?
The fight with the city.
So we're just trying to get this guy back into his home. You know him? And we went up to Department of Finance. They sent us down here from the news.
If it hadn't been for Channel 2, I might not be sitting here now.
How you doing?
We went to City Hall.
Good. I'm Brad from Channel 2. We're here to pay this man's water bill.
To set it right.
Yeah, it's going to be in room 107.
107? The water department? No. You guys collect money. All right, finance it is. Going back up to 7. They said to come up here.
You see, Rodney had a bill for...
$10,700.57. This is what I'm getting charged for.
And no one's lived here for more than a decade.
Nothing here.
Because there's no water.
Nothing.
No water, no matter. He has an unmetered account, billed not on actual usage, but on an archaic algorithm, a guesstimation. A year ago, we dropped Rodney's story.
Okay, we don't deal with...
No. Everyone says you deal with it. Someone needs to deal with it. 107 again? Is there 2 107s?
In it, we showed a myriad of billing gaps. Like when the city said Mr. Andrews' charges continued because he never registered his property as vacant. Wrong. He registered it as vacant 3 times.
Oh, there it goes.
Which should have shut off the water, but never did.
It's alive. We got water.
Our tweet about that very story caught the eye and ire of Alderman Gilbert Villegas. Unconscionable, he tweeted just after noon, demanding a fix immediately and called for hearings about issues plaguing the department. We discovered exactly what the city thought about being put on blast via a public records request. Chicago dumped thousands of pages of emails on us. We read them all. Moments after the tweet, a nervous City Hall flack sent out an email. Villegas responds to CBS about calling hearings on water billing. 2 minutes later, the city's deputy chief operating officer forwarded it to Mayor Lori Lightfoot's chief of staff, who emailed one person only, MLL, Mayor Lori Lightfoot. 4 words, I just called Gil. 1 hour and 1 minute after Gil's tweet, it was over. Villegas, then the mayor's floor leader on city council, had invited us to an in-person meeting on bad billing. After I just called Gil, he canceled.
The appearance is the mayor's chief of staff called you and shut you down.
It's not accurate.
It just seems odd to me that you were so fired up you were about to call hearings, and an hour and a minute later the chief of staff calls you and then you completely ghost on me.
After I tweeted that, he called me and said that he would make sure, assured me that the problem would be addressed regarding the veteran. And I took him at his word.
A year after our canceled meeting.
Whatever happened to the hearings?
Alderman Villegas.
That's what I'm working on right now with the technology.
A Marine himself, he chairs the committee that oversees the city's technology. They're currently assessing it, namely its pitfalls, like...
I can tell you right now, based off your report, the fact that this gentleman reported 3 times that he was not using the water but still getting billed, there's a problem there.
City has never admitted that, but you're saying that right now. The system is broken.
The systems are not speaking to one another. It's antiquated, and we have to address that issue.
First, the city's line typically goes a little like...
I'm not familiar with any overcharges.
Not familiar with overcharges, Mayor Lori Lightfoot claimed in the fall.
You bringing thunderball.
Rodney's just one of the city's 180,000 unmetered, guesstimated accounts. It's part of Chicago's bizarrely antiquated system. Pay if you don't use water, pay if you don't live there. Our examination showed those greatest hit by these billing schemes live in black and brown communities. Add to that, water rates have quadrupled since 2002, as the city now uses God's gift of water in part to fill its pension hole.
After you saw that story, you thought...
I was outraged.
An angel donor was so honked off. Then we got Rodney's bill from this to this.
$3,164.63.
And the angel donor paid it off. The city didn't explain the drastic bill drop after we asked, but 100% of the bills we've investigated have been radically inflated. Instead of concern over rancid and regressive billing blunders, emails show where the city's concern was. I tweeted out a teaser, a promotion to watch Mr. Andrews' story, adding our water probe won its first Emmy Award. The flack for the Department of Finance started a chain email. The city statement, it began and ended with BTW. That's by the way in Teen Talk. CBS received an Emmy? Emmy Award winning? Chimed in the city's first deputy comptroller. You must be joking. The city's comptroller, replied all. It's just a local Emmy, so the bar isn't very high, replied the water department. I just don't want him winning another for the Getting Hosed series. Well,
and the Emmy goes to Getting Hosed, the vet versus the water department.
It won.
You know, just gotta wait. You gotta be patient.
And not long ago,
I've been waiting a long time, so
Rodney won.
How you doing, sir?
All right now.
Got appliances for you?
Got appliances for me?
Yes, sir. We're gonna set you up with a brand new kitchen.
You sure you got the right address?
Got a refrigerator, microwave, and stove for you.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
It took a troop to revive the house mothballed by bad billing. Strangers did what the city did not. They cared.